Doctor, what is it?
It's another case for Nick Carter, Master Detective.
Yes, it's another case for that most famous of all manhunters, the detective whose ability at solving crime is unequaled in the history of detective fiction. Nick Carter, Master Detective. Presented by the three great home brighteners, Lin-X Clear Gloss, Lin-X Cream Polish, and Lin-X Self-Polishing Wax. Created by Acme, America's great producer of Acme quality paints. Today's curious adventure,
Murder on Mad Mountain, or Nick Carter and the mystery of the opera singer's dog.
In just a moment, we'll hear how Nick Carter solved the mystery of the murder on Mad Mountain by the aid of a dog lost in the snow. But first, let me tell you something. You and your family take pride in your home, of course. That's why you keep it bright and sparkling with Chemtone, the miracle wall finish that brings new beauty to your walls. With Lin-X Clear Gloss, the transparent finish that gives lustrous, durable protection to every wood and linoleum surface in your home. Lin-X Clear Gloss, a favorite in thousands of American homes, flows on easily without brush marks, drying to an attractive gloss that wears and wears, and looks beautiful for a long, long time. What's more, it resists damage by hot grease, boiling water, fruit acids, perfume, even alcohol. And Lin-X Clear Gloss keeps dirt on the surface so that it's easily wiped away. Keep your home looking lovely with Lin-X Clear Gloss, available at your paint, hardware, or department store, headquarters for all three great Lin-X home brighteners, and Chemtone, the miracle wall finish that dries in 1 hour. And now for today's mysterious adventure with Nick Carter. As we open our story today, we find Nick and Patsy in a train which is crossing the hump of Mad Mountain in a raging blizzard.
This is a pretty thrilling experience, Nick, riding over the mountain in a blizzard like this. We're just as snug and cozy inside the train here as if we were in our own homes.
It may be thrilling, Patsy, but it's pretty dangerous, too.
Dangerous? What's dangerous about it?
Well, up here on Mad Mountain, there's always the danger of a snowslide sweeping down on us and pushing the whole train down into the canyon. Or we could run into extra heavy drifts and get stalled. In fact, that's where Mad Mountain got its name, from the trouble it's always caused the railroad.
Well, I don't care. I'm enjoying it just the same.
Wonder how much behind schedule we are.
Here comes the conductor. I'll ask him. Oh, conductor? How late are we going to be?
Well, I can't tell you, miss. Depends on how long this storm keeps up.
Say, conductor, didn't you used to be on the New York to Miami run in the Pennsy about 10 years ago?
Why, yes, I did. Left there 11 years ago next March.
I thought so. I used to ride with you often in those days. Is your name Bonner? Robert Bonner?
Gosh, what a memory. Sure, I'm Robert Bonner, but I don't remember you.
Takes a detective's trained mind to remember names and faces, Mr. Bonner. Nick's a great one for that.
Nick? You don't mean you're Nick Carter?
Guilty in the first degree.
Well, don't that beat all? After 11 years. I would say, Mr. Carter, I'm sort of glad you're riding with us this trip.
You want me to help you find the tracks again if the train runs off them?
It ain't the blizzard I was thinking of, bad as it is. That opera star we got hitched on the rear of the train.
You mean that private car we saw at the terminal belongs to a real opera star? Who is she?
Her name's Pauline Hall, and she's a stuck-up, highfalutin queen of them all.
Well, why are you worried about her?
Well, after we hitched her car on, I went back to see if everything was okay. Orders, you know.
Sure, I know.
Well, out she comes, wearing more jewels than the Russian royal family. She waves her hand at me and she says, "Conductor, please see that no one is permitted to enter my car at all. I'm not to be disturbed before we get to Sacramento in the morning." That fuzzy little chow dog of hers stands there blinking at me. Collar around his neck, studded with diamonds.
Well, a chow is a high-class dog, Mr. Bonner.
And then, as if there ain't enough trouble for me trying to keep everything straight around here with a blizzard blowing down my neck, I get this telegram from the chief. Says I gotta take care of the dame and her sparklers as if they were my own. Says the stuff she's carrying is worth about $100,000 cash.
That's a lot of jewels to be lying around loose.
Yeah, maybe she won't be disturbed in Sacramento in the morning either if that dumb engineer of ours don't use more sand. We was an hour behind crawling up the other side. Now we ain't even crawling.
Why, Nick, we've stopped. We aren't moving at all now.
Sounds as if we're in trouble.
Yes, sir. We are in trouble. Engineer's whistling for a flag man. Got to get him out fast. Won't he like that on a night like this?
What do you need a flagman for up here in the mountains?
Well, the second section of this train's right behind us. In this snow, she could plow right into us before she knew we were here. Hey, Carney, wake up, you.
What's the matter now, Bob?
Get your flag and get going. We're stuck.
Oh, look, on a night like this...
There's no time to argue, Carney. Now, you get ready and start on your way back. And you'll be sure to get back a full half-mile, too, before you set up your flares. Be watching, so shake it up.
I suppose I gotta climb out and wait around that Opera Star's car. She won't let me go through.
You bet she won't. When you go by her car, don't cuss so loud you wake her up either. I don't want to be hauled on the carpet for disturbing her nibs.
Snow must be up to my waist by this time.
Yes, and watch out you don't fall over into the canyon. There ain't much room to spare between the track and the edge of that cliff, you know.
Of all the doggone dirty jobs on a railroad, this being a flagman.
He doesn't look very happy.
No, and I ain't very happy either. That doddering old throttle pusher up there in the cab was a real he-man. We wouldn't be stopping for a little snow. Well, ain't nothing to do now but wait. Hope the second section don't jam into us.
What's the engineer trying to do now, Bob?
Well, sounds like he's signaling to the other section. That dumb flagman of mine set the flares going like I told him to. They ought to stop the rest of this drag. Then there wouldn't be no need for all that tooting and whistling.
Well, why don't you look and see if you can see the flares, Mr. Bonner? They'd certainly show up across the snow, now that it stopped snowing.
Well, that's just what I'm going to do. You want to come, Mr. Carter?
Wait till I get my coat on and I'll be right with you.
You ready, Mr. Carter? Here, take a look out the platform. They have the car here. Now watch out. We'll open up here. There we are.
Hey, it's mighty cold out here. Must be near zero.
Very near. Hey, that's the other section, Mr. Carter. They got the signal.
Well, that takes care of that. Hey, wait a minute. What's that?
Good gosh, it sounds like... It is. That's an avalanche.
Look out. Sounds like a big slide.
Yes, sir.
Hey, that was awful close. Too close for comfort.
Yes, sir, indeed. Mistress, though, went right by us.
Now, what about the flagman? You suppose that he might have been...
Carney, he must have been right in the path. I better see if he...
I'll go with you. Come on.
Now, once you step along this edge of the canyon, Mr. Carter, 1,000 feet drop to the state highway at the bottom.
Don't worry. I'm watching.
And look at the Queen's car here. Not a light in it. Not a peep out of the old girl. I'd have thought the noise of that slide would have woken the dead.
Didn't you say she had a maid and a porter with her, too? Funny they're not awake.
Yeah. Probably she's got them both so scared. Don't dare make a sound while she's asleep. The dog, too. Didn't hear a peep out of him either.
Hey, Bob, look ahead there.
Yeah?
That slide cleared off a place about a quarter-mile wide.
Yes, sir. Only missed us by about 100 yards.
Wait a minute. I've got my flashlight here. Let me see if we can see anything of Carney anywhere.
Thanks, Mr. Carter. There ain't no use looking for him. Not after that.
Here, listen.
I don't hear nothing.
There it is again. And it's down there over the edge of the canyon.
Here, flash your light down there. See if we...
I can't see a thing. Must have... Hey, Bob, look there. The flagman.
Carney.
Yes. Caught on that little tree down there. Must be 50 feet down the side of the slope.
What's he doing down there?
He must have slipped and fallen over the edge on his way back.
Yeah, but that's not Carney making that noise.
No, it isn't, but I can't see anything else down there that's making it.
No wonder they named this Mad Mountain.
Well, go get a couple of porters and some rope.
All right.
We'll have to get Carney out of there quick if he's still alive.
Just a little more now, boy. Take it easy.
Oh, pull, can you? Pull. Here, let me help you. Now, all together. Yeah.
Right. No more.
There. That's it.
Now, give me a hand with the body.
Mr. Carter, is he dead?
Yes, Broke his neck when he fell.
Ah, poor Carney. Many's a long ride we've had together.
You two porters stay here with the body for a bit.
Yes.
Bob, you and I have a job to do. Come on, quick.
Job? What do you mean? Say, where you going?
If it's what I think it is, we got a real job on our hands. You got a key to the Queen's private car?
The Queen's? Well, no. What do you want that for?
You know what I found down there when I was getting Connie's body?
No, I ain't got any idea.
Well, that chow dog of hers is caught in a clump of bushes just below where Connie was.
Yeah?
The dog was doing that crying we heard before. He stopped now.
Yeah, I'll bet that darn dog got out of the car and chased Carney, and Carney fell over the edge trying to get away from him.
Certainly hope you're right, Bob, but I don't think so.
Well, what do you think did happen then?
I'll tell you in a minute. Here's the end of the Queen's car.
Yeah.
Maybe I've got a key that'll fit this door. Now, they have a special lock on it. I can't wait to take it now. Watch out.
Hey, we can't go busting into private cars like that.
We can this time. Now I can unlock it from the inside.
Well, what do you think you're going to find in here?
Come on in. Shut the door.
All right. I don't see what...
Look here, Bob. Look.
Hey, what are those stains on the rug there? That ain't... Hey, what's that?
That came from in here.
Oh, that's her porter all tied up.
Yes. And he's been drugged, too.
What? I don't understand.
I thought so. See there?
Oh, look at all that blood.
Yes. And the Queen put up quite a struggle for her life, but she lost.
Oh, I'll say there was a fight here. Look at this room, everything upside down.
Yes. And everything valuable gone. Nothing left but some toilet articles. Where's the maid's compartment?
It's over here. Oh, gosh almighty. She's dead, too. Strangled to death, looks like.
Those purple marks around her neck couldn't mean anything else. Oh, what a smell.
What is it, Mr. Carter? It smells like perfume.
Yeah, see there? Broken perfume bottle. Got smashed in the struggle. Whew. The smell is so strong, it's sickening.
Oh, I'm going to catch it for this.
What's in the other compartment?
I wouldn't know. I just hope it ain't more bodies.
Well, we'll see. Aha, just as I suspected. See those cigarette burns on the dresser and the empty bottles? 2 men hid in here, waited until the time was right, then killed the Queen and her maid and stole the jewels.
How do you know there was 2 men?
2 different brands of cigarettes here.
Oh, yeah. Hey, where do you suppose they got aboard?
Probably hid in here before the car left the junction.
Well, do you suppose they're still on the train?
See if the front door of the car is unlocked.
Oh, sure. Yes, Mr. Carter, it's not locked.
They probably went out that way and are somewhere on the train now. Bob, they must have figured that nobody would enter this car before it reached Sacramento.
Uh-huh.
They were all set to drop off at one of the way stations before that. But undoubtedly, the snowslide interfered with their plans. And in this deep snow, there's no place they could go without being in danger of their lives.
Oh.
Yes, I feel sure they're still on the train.
Well, can you find any clues to tell us who they are?
Well, I hope so.
Well, could you take some fingerprints, maybe?
It would take too long to fingerprint everybody in the train. No, we've got to find some other way to do it.
Yes, but how?
I don't know yet.
Oh.
But I think I have an idea.
Well, what do we do now?
Bring Connie's body in here. Let the passengers think he was killed in the slide, but don't let them know he was murdered.
Murdered? You say Carney was murdered, too? I thought you said his neck was broken.
It was. But the back of his head was crushed in, too. And that was no accident.
Oh, poor
That's
Carney.
what led me to believe that there might have been trouble here in the Queen's car. Bob, as I see it, the Chow made trouble for the killers when they started their work. So they took it outside to get rid of it, but they ran into Carney.
Uh-huh.
They killed him and threw him and the dog into the canyon. And so long as the killers think that Carney and the dog are both dead, we'll let them keep on thinking so. At least until I can rescue that Chow.
Are you crazy, Mr. Carter? That mud ain't worth risking your neck for.
No. I have an idea. Maybe he can tell us who the killers are.
Oh, what the heck? Chows can't talk.
I have an idea. Maybe this one can. At least I'm going to find out anyway.
So Nick thinks he can make the Chow talk. At least enough to tell him who killed the opera singer and stole her jewels. Will the dog still be alive by the time he can get down to rescue it? And will it tell him what he wants to know? We'll see in just a moment. There is no more attractive background for your furniture than lustrous, well-kept floors. And Linex self-polishing wax keeps all your floors looking their best, whether they're wood, tile, or linoleum. Yet it takes only a jiffy to apply and dries without rubbing to an elastic, satiny finish that wears amazingly. Because Linex self-polishing wax contains the highest possible content of genuine Carnauba wax, with no gum, shellac, or resin in it to chip or crumble. When the most used parts of your floor show wear, you needn't re-wax the whole floor either. And Linex self-polishing wax is so resistant to dirt and water that it keeps the soil on the surface, where it's easily wiped away with a damp cloth or mild suds. In addition, Linex self-polishing wax is the non-skid floor finish, resisting slip even when water is spilled on it. The underwriters' laboratories, whose seal is on each bottle, have proved this fact. So get it now. Linex, Lin-X. Linex self-polishing wax. You'll find all three great Linex home brighteners and Chemtone, the miracle wall finish, at paint, hardware, and department stores everywhere. And now back to our story. We left Nick planning to rescue the dead opera singer's dog, which is caught on a bush on the side of the canyon, in the hopes that it might some way reveal the identity of the murderers of his mistress.
But where did Nick go, Mr. Bonner?
He wouldn't tell me, Miss Bowen. He just told me to come to the baggage car, get all the extra rope we have, and wait till he got back.
Now, I wish you wouldn't try to rescue that dog tonight. It's too dangerous in the dark on a freezing night like this.
I tried to tell him that, but he wouldn't listen to me. Just said that the dog was going to help him find the killers. Crazy talk.
Perhaps it isn't so crazy, Mr. Bonner. Nick has a way of knowing what he's talking about, but I wish
You
he
got
would...
that rope for me, Bob?
Look, Mr. Carter, now why don't you let me take the baggage and mail crews and search the train for these killers?
That'll be useless, Bob. Those crooks are only 2 out of several hundred people on this train. How could you tell them from the others?
Well,
Furthermore, once you let the passengers know there have been 2 murders on this train, you'll see what happens.
Oh, gosh, Nick, you're right. We might have a panic on our hands.
I guess you're right, but I don't like it just the same, risking your neck for a fool dog.
I like dogs, and this one's hurt and probably freezing by now.
Nick, what were you doing in the train just now? I thought you said you weren't going to try to spot the killers.
I wasn't, Patsy. Not exactly.
Well, then what were you doing?
Looking for something.
Well, did you find it?
Maybe. We'll see later. Now, if you'll have to have that rope...
Sure you don't want me to come with you?
No, you stay here. I don't want any of the train crew or passengers to know what's going on.
Well, okay, whatever you say.
If Mr. Bonner's not going with you, I am.
Well, now that the storm's over, I guess it's safe enough. But you better dress warmly, Patsy. It's mighty cold out.
Look, Nick, there's an extra trainman's outfit here. That's heavy enough. Could I use that, Mr. Bonner?
Sure, if you can get into it.
Oh, I can get into it all right with plenty left over.
Patsy, I want to get that dog while he's still alive. Hurry up, will you? Let's get going. I'm glad that wind died down. Not quite so cold now.
That's right. Is this where you found the brakeman? Well, yes, I can see the marks in the snow. Is the dog here too, Nick?
Yes, Patsy. He was caught in a small bush just below where the brakeman was.
How are you going to get down to him?
I'm going to tie this larger rope to the rail here, if I can find it under this snow.
Oh.
Yes, here it is. Just a second. This rail is cold. That should be a knot that'll hold it. Yeah. Now, I'll let myself down the side of the canyon with it.
Mm-hmm.
You'll keep hold of this smaller rope. When I've tied the dog to it, you pull it up.
Okay.
I can climb back up the other rope myself.
It's a good thing we have the headlight from the locomotive on the second section to help us. Gosh, it's bright.
Yes, even though it's at least a half mile down the track, it's light enough for us to see by. All right, are you ready?
Well, gee, Nick, suppose your hands get so cold you can't pull yourself back up.
Don't worry, they won't, Patsy. I'll be getting enough exercise, so I'll keep warm. It's you I'm worried about. Are you warm enough?
Oh, sure, this outfit I've got on keeps all the cold out. I'm okay.
All right, then, I'm off. I'll let you know as soon as I'm ready to have the dog pulled up.
I'll be waiting. Take care of yourself, Nick.
I'm all right.
Careful, Nick.
Here he is, Patsy, and he's still alive.
Oh, good.
Oh, poor little fella. All right, steady, Billy. We'll have you up where it's nice and warm in no time. There we are. Now, let's put this little rope around your belly. There we are. Hold still. There. Now, I'll tie it around your forelegs so it won't slip. There. I don't want to lose you now. You're too valuable to me.
You ready, Nick?
Just a minute. Here, take it easy, will you? You'll be all right. There we are. Now we'll have a nice ride. All right, pull him up, Patsy. Careful.
Okay, coming on.
I'll just pull myself up with you so I can keep my eye on you and be sure you won't slip out of the ropes. Don't fight it, boy. Don't fight it. Easy now, easy.
You okay, Nick?
Yes, we're both coming along all right.
Oh, the poor little fellow. He must be frozen.
It probably is. There. I'm not too warm myself.
All right, boy.
You untie him, will you, while I get this rope off the track?
Okay.
Yeah, take it easy, Pop.
Yeah, now, just
I don't blame you for being mad. I'm mad, too.
You're all right now. You're all right. There you are. Can you stand up? Oh, Nick, do you suppose any of his bones are broken?
I hope not. You let me see. No, I think he's just suffering from exposure. He's hardly more than a pup.
Oh, I'll carry him back to the dining car. We'll get the chef to fix him something hot.
Some good hot milk with a little brandy in it ought to make him feel like a new dog. And something hot wouldn't hurt us either. Come on.
Oh, look, Nick, he feels much better than he did. Why, he walks around almost normally now.
Yes, a little something warm to eat fixed him.
Here, and that rub down you gave him.
Oh, what are you planning to do now, Nick?
Let me have that small piece of rope, will you? Want to make a leash for him.
You're not going to take that poor pup out for a walk, are you?
Take him out? No. Take him for a walk? Yes.
But why?
Patsy, have you forgotten we're on the trail of two murderers?
Of course not, Nick, but...
There. That's not much of a leash, but I think it'll serve the purpose. All right, Bob, you ready?
I sure am ready for anything, but... Say, do I smell trouble?
You might. We'll know pretty quick now.
May I come too, Nick?
Not this time, Patsy. Just wait here and cross your fingers for luck.
Okay. Where are you going?
To the smoking compartment of the first car. I want to show the dog something. Easy now, Bob.
Right.
The smoking compartment's just ahead here.
Okay.
Quiet, boy, quiet. You'll get your chance in just a minute.
I remember back some 20 years ago, we were held up for 4 days in a slide on a railroad up in Canada.
Yeah. Somebody's always been where it's worse.
Now,
than it
listen,
is
Bob.
now.
I'm going to let the dog loose when we get to the door of the compartment. I'll follow him in, and you stay back of
I
me.
don't want to seem to brag. I was just going to say...
Shut up. This is bad enough now without you making it worse.
Hey, Bob, you hear that?
Yeah, but what?
Quiet. I'm letting him loose.
Well, of course, if you don't want...
Wait down. Button your lip.
Ready, Bob?
Yeah.
All right, here goes. We stay here until I say so.
Guys just can't keep their trap shut when they're... What the devil? Hey, take them off me, will you? You're a little much work of my brother.
Get out of the way, Pete. I can't concentrate hitting you.
Please, bit me. Get them off me, will you?
Come on, Bob. All right, you two. Get your hands up, quick.
Get this dog off me, will you?
Drop it.
Okay.
Get the dog, Bob.
Come on, fella. Steady now. Now, he won't hurt you. What's the idea of letting that...
Get your hands up, now.
You ain't got no right to come in here that way.
Don't try to get your gun or I'll let you have it right.
I got my hands up.
That's better. I don't like shooting. All right, Bob, take their guns away from them.
Yeah.
Be sure you get all of them. And see what else they have on them at the same time.
Sure, Mr. Carter, sure. I'll give him a good going over.
Carter. You ain't Nick Carter.
I certainly am.
Wouldn't you know, Pete? We pull a job way up here in the mountains, and Nick Carter has to be on the train.
Oh, shut up. You ain't got nothing on us, nothing.
No, I think I have plenty.
Prove it. You want to search us?
Find anything interesting, Bob?
Nope, nothing. Just these 3 guns, nothing else. Yeah, you say we ain't done nothing. I told you got no right.
You and your pal murdered the opera singer and were made in their private car tonight. You slugged the brakeman and threw him over the cliff. You stole all the singer's jewels. You call that nothing?
This guy's nuts, Pete.
Yeah. Go on and prove it, copper. But get me a doctor first, will you? My leg's all bent up. Look, I'm bleeding.
I'll get you a doctor after I get your confession.
We don't know nothing about it, do we, Mike?
No, we don't know a thing. It wasn't even there.
All right, very well. We'll all sit right here and wait until you two decide to give us the information we want.
All right, Flatfoot, sit. You can wait till next year, but you won't learn nothing from us.
Okay. I'll wait.
Oh, look, copper, I gotta get a doctor.
Hey, Bob.
Huh?
You know how quick hydrophobia sets in after a dog bites?
Well, no, I don't. Pretty quick, I think.
Let's see. If I remember correctly, there's no cure for it after it does set in, is there?
No, sir, I don't believe there is. No cure.
Oh. How long would you say it is since the dog bit Pete here?
That must be about 10 minutes now, I'd say.
10 minutes, huh? And it only takes hydrophobia about 5 minutes.
Yeah, all right. I'll tell. Only get me a doctor.
You'll get a doctor when I get your confession.
Okay. We killed him, Mike and me. We hit in the old dame's car before I left the yard.
Where are the jewels?
We made a bundle out of them and threw them clear off the cliff. They're down near the state road at the bottom. Get me a doctor, will you? I'm dying.
You're not dying. Not yet.
Yeah, I am. I got hydrophobia, sure. Get a doc, will you?
You're a fool. You can't get hydrophobia from a dog bite unless the dog has hydrophobia before he bites you. And this dog is as clean and healthy as a dog could be. You're no more danger from those bites than I am.
Hey, you You mean I ain't gonna get sick from the bites?
Not in the slightest.
He tricked us.
That dirty double-crossing rat out of...
You ought to keep quiet. Bob.
Yeah.
See if you can find a doctor. And take the dog back to Patsy. He's done a good night's work. And bring some rope to tie up these cheap thugs.
Sure, Mr. Carter. Come on, Pooch. Come on, fella. Come on.
I beg your pardon, Mr. Carter, is it?
Why, yes. Hey, where are you?
I'm here under this seat. Is it safe to come out now?
Yes, indeed. Come on out and join the party.
Thank you. It's much more comfortable out here.
Yes.
Mr. Carter, may I ask you a question?
Why, certainly. Go right ahead.
How did you know these were the men who killed somebody?
Oh, very simple. When I walked through the train a while ago, I noticed that the tobacco smoke in this compartment was scented heavily with perfume. Perfume these thugs got spilled on them when a bottle of perfume broke in the opera singer's car during the fight.
Oh, that is wonderful, Mr. Carter. Wonderful.
Well, I couldn't be absolutely positive just from the perfume. And I couldn't know which of the 6 men in the compartment were the ones I wanted. And knowing that the men were armed, I had to be sure.
Yes, of course.
So I brought the dog in here, knowing that a chow would never stop hating the men who killed his mistress. And he supplied me with the additional evidence I needed. Then it was a very simple matter, as you heard, to get their confessions.
And the jewels, will you get those too?
I shall notify the state police as soon as I can contact them. The snow slide and the marks I made going down the side of the cliff after the dog will mark the place closely enough.
That's wonderful. That dog's a smart dog, isn't he?
Well, a lot smarter than these 2 crooks. He'll never go to the electric chair. That's more than I can say for them.
In just a moment, Nick and Patsy will bring you a preview of next week's exciting case. But first, here's a worthwhile thought. These are busy times for streamlined efficiency in everything we do. And American homemakers everywhere are learning how much time they save when they preserve the natural beauty of their furniture with Linex Cream Polish, which cleans as it polishes in one easy process. Linex Cream Polish requires no tiresome rubbing, and in one quick, easy application removes cloudy dust and polish accumulation. It banishes messy fingerprints and helps conceal ugly scratches. Linex Cream Polish dries hard, too, leaving no oily film to attract more dust and make more work for you. So by all means, keep your treasured furniture lovely the easy way with Linex Cream Polish. Remember to ask for it at your dealers. If he hasn't received his supply of the 3 great Linex home brighteners, he'll probably have them soon. Ask him to save one or all of them for you. Acme will see that he gets them and you get them as quickly as possible. And now let's hear from Nick Carter himself. How about it, Nick? What thrilling story are you going to tell us next week?
Well, next week, Ken, I'm going to tell you a simple little story which begins when the milkman arrives at a customer's house to find the young wife tied up in the kitchen of her home and her young husband shot to death in his bed.
The local sheriff couldn't seem to make head nor tails out of the case. But when Nick took hold, he picked up a small clue here and another one there and got the right answer.
An answer, I may say, that was somewhat unexpected.
Is it an exciting case?
Well, tracking down a murder is always exciting to me.
Well, what do you call the story, Nick?
I call it the 2-pillow murder.
For the mystery of the milkman's discovery.
And that's all for now. So long, everybody.
So long.
And so long to you both, Nick and Patsy. We'll be looking forward to seeing you again next week. Next week at the same time, listen to another curious experience of Nick Carter, Master Detective, entitled
The 2-Pillow Murder. Or Nick Carter and the Mystery of the Milkman's Discovery.
Nick Carter, Master Detective, is a copyright feature of Street and Smith Publications, Incorporated. It is presented at this same time and over these same stations by the 3 great Linex home brighteners. Linex Clear Gloss, Linex Cream Polish, and Linex Self-Polishing Wax. Created by Acme, America's great producer of Acme quality paints. In the Nick Carter Adventures, Lon Clark is starred as Nick. Ellen Choate is featured as Patsy. Original music is played by Lou White. The programs are written and directed by Jock McGregor. This is Ken Powell speaking for the thousands of Linex dealers all over America and saying so long until next week. This is Mutual.
What's the matter? What is it?
Another case for Nick Carter, master detective.
Yes, it's another case for that most famous of all manhunters, the detective whose ability at solving crime is unequaled in the history of detective fiction. Nick Carter, Master Detective. Presented by the three great Linex home brighteners. Linex Clear Gloss Varnish, Linex Cream Polish, and Linex Self-Polishing Wax. Created by Acme, America's great producer of fine Acme quality paints. Today's curious adventure.
Ready for murder. Or Nick Carter and the mystery of the dead Scottie.
In just a moment, we'll hear how the dead Scottie dog helped Nick Carter solve the mystery of the Ames farm, and of how he saved from death the young heir to the estate who was ready for murder. You know, it doesn't take folks long to learn what's worthwhile. That's why millions of wise American homemakers have discovered Chemtone, the miracle wall finish. That's why they're now discovering this new magic for woodwork, floors, and furniture, the three great Linex home brighteners. Linex Clear Gloss Varnish to give lustrous, longer-lasting protection to every wood and linoleum surface. Linex Cream Polish to renew the sleek, gleaming beauty of fine furniture. And Linex Self-Polishing Wax to lend rich, satiny loveliness to any floor, wood, linoleum, or tile. Take the modern shortcut to new home beauty with the three great Linex home brighteners. You'll find them all at your hardware, paint, or department store. Your headquarters also for Chemtone, the miracle wall finish. And now for today's mysterious adventure with Nick Carter. As our story opens, we find Nick and Patsy just entering the hotel room of John Ames, a young friend of Nick's.
Oh, hello, Nick. Patsy.
Hello, John.
Glad to see you. Come on in. Thanks. Good to see you again.
Oh, Nick, look at that darling Scottie on the bed.
Hey, Mac, get down off that bed.
I look so cute there with his head on the pillow.
I've never been able to break McTavish of the habit. Oh, by the way, this is Chief Danis of the local police. Nick Carter and Patsy Bowen, Chief.
How do you do,
Carter? Well, let's get down to business. Chief Danis and I have just come from my Aunt Mary's funeral, as you know. The coroner's verdict was that Aunt Mary killed herself with aconite. But I don't believe it.
Why not, John?
Well, first, because she wasn't the suicide kind. Second, because if she'd wanted to kill herself, she would have used poison she was more familiar with. She was a gardener, knew all about nicotine sulfate and arsenic and so on.
Well, nothing very positive there.
Well, Mr. Carter, how about this? Since John's grandfather, old Henry Ames, passed on at the age of 83 4 years ago, 3 of the heirs have died. Typhoid killed Frank last year. Phil was shot in a hunting accident 2 years ago. And now Mary dies of aconite poison.
But the Purcells keep right on running the farm, the way they always have.
Who are the Purcells?
Adam and Paul Purcell were first employed as farm managers by my grandfather. Each successive owner since then has kept them on.
So far, everything seems quite open and above board.
Yes, but each time one of the last 3 Ameses has died, the word murder has been whispered all over town.
But why? I don't get it.
Well, just a feeling, no proof at all, but the rumor persists that the Purcells know more about than they can let on.
And as a medical student, I can say that the chances of 3 healthy people dying off like that, one after another, purely as a coincidence, is less than 1 in 100.
Is there any question about your grandfather's death being natural?
Well, no, none at all.
And how about Phil?
He shot himself in the chest while out hunting with the Purcells.
And it was his gun, with only his fingerprints on it.
I see. And how about Frank's death?
Died in bed of typhoid.
Nothing to show it wasn't on the level?
Not a thing, Mr. Carter.
Uh-huh. Well, now tell me about your Aunt Mary's death. Anything wrong there?
Well, nothing you can put your finger on. Oh, here are the facts. And I want to say that they've been checked and proven in every detail.
That's right, Mr. Carter. What John will tell you is nothing but facts.
All right, let's have them.
Aunt Mary lived alone in the big house. The Purcells and Lizzie Gregg, their hired girl, lived in the tenant house. Lizzie took care of the big house and got the meals for Aunt Mary, but she didn't sleep there. Well, this particular morning, Lizzie walked over to the big house at 7 in the morning, called my aunt, got no answer, and investigated. My aunt was in bed, dead.
And it snowed that night before all night. And the tracks we found when we got there proved
Proved, mind you, that no one was in the house that night with his aunt.
And the post-mortem shows she died of aconite poisoning, huh?
Yes, a minute dose, but fatal and positive. Just enough to kill her.
Well, where'd you get this aconite?
Now, Lizzie used it for a heart condition for years. Kept the bottle in the big house in the kitchen cabinet.
Oh, I see.
The bottle was found on his aunt's bedside table, with her fingerprints plainly showing on top of Lizzie's.
But it couldn't be an accident, because aconite is neither odorless nor tasteless and couldn't be taken without knowing it. And the poison was administered to my aunt through her mouth.
Well, it certainly looks like suicide to me.
Except for one thing, Patsy.
What's that?
A person going to commit suicide would pour themselves out a good sizable portion of the poison they intended to use. Not just barely enough to kill them. She wouldn't know enough to do that.
If she didn't leave any suicide note, either.
But if it wasn't suicide, and if she couldn't have taken it by accident, and if nobody could have forced it on her without her knowing it was being done, where does that leave you?
Exactly, Patsy. It proves just one thing in my mind. It proves a cold-blooded, deliberate murder, carefully planned and executed. I don't know how it was done, but it was. The same goes for Phil's death and Frank's. And I'll bet the Purcells are the murderers or the accomplices. They stand to gain a nice income from the farm, which goes to them if the last heir dies. They've been planning this for years. They planned it so carefully that the evidence proves them not guilty every time.
Madam Purcell, where did you come from?
I knocked, but there was so much talk and nobody heard me. So I come in. John, I heard what you said.
Well, I meant it, every word.
How do you happen to be here, Purcell?
I heard John was coming down here to meet Chief Dennis and you, Mr. Carter. I guessed why, so I followed him.
To spy on me?
No, young man, not to spy, to resign. Paul and Lizzie are against the idea. I'm the elder brother, and what I say goes.
You mean you'll all move off the farm?
Just that, and right now.
Mr. Purcell, I meant every word I said just now, and I'm not taking back a word of it. But you can't resign, and I can't let you go.
No.
Why not?
Because if they go now, it means either they're quitting under fire, or I'm afraid to live on the farm with them. Besides, I need farm managers, and the Purcells are the best managers I know.
I think you're right, John. Well, how do you feel about it, Mr. Purcell?
I don't know. But well, I guess I can stand it if he can. All right. We'll put the food on your table, clean your house, run your farm. But that's all. We won't have nothing to do with you, nor you with us.
I understand, and I agree.
I'll be getting along.
Hey, quiet, Mac, and get down off my bed. Come on, get down.
You going back to the farm tonight, Mr. Ames?
Yes, especially in view of what just happened.
You still think Purcell's guilty?
Yes, I do. Adam wanted to resign either because he was afraid or because he wanted to establish an alibi. Because if I should be killed while the Purcells weren't living on the farm, they'd be cleared of all the deaths. No. I'm going back there and prove that the Purcells actually did what I think they did. Well, Mac, this seems to be the kitchen. Oh, there's nobody here. Yes, there is, in that rocking chair. How do you do?
You let your dog in the house?
Why, yes. Max always lived with me in my room.
Ain't fitting. Where you sleep?
Why, in the master bedroom, of course.
Good. Best room in the house. What time you want breakfast?
About 8 o'clock. I'd like eggs, bacon, and coffee.
You set the time, young man. I'll furnish the meals. Good night.
Well, yes, Max, that was probably Lizzie. Well, if that's the way they want it, okay. Come on, let's have a look at our house. So this is the master bedroom. Gosh, Mac, so furniture's beautiful. Hey, get down off that bed, Mac. You've got to turn over a new leaf in this house. Lizzie won't have you sleeping on beds, I know. Oh, all right. Stay there for now. Gosh, I wonder why the whole house smells so strongly of alcohol. Smells like a bar. The phone's here in the bedroom. Swell. Hello?
Hello, John. I just thought I'd call and see how you're making out.
Oh, gosh, Nick, it's good to hear your voice. This is a grand old house, but it's so quiet you can cut it with a knife.
Any new ideas yet?
Yes, one or two. Nick, I'd like to have you get me a permit to exhume Frank Aime's body and autopsy the remains. If arsenical poisoning was wrongly diagnosed as typhoid, that can still be checked.
All right, John. I'll bring the permit out with me when I come tomorrow. Oh, by the way, if the herself were to inherit the farm. Where would Lizzie come in?
She wouldn't. She has no interest in it at all. She wouldn't get to touch a dollar of it. Why?
Oh, just wondered.
I understand Lizzie and Paul were talking of getting married about 5 years ago, but nothing came of it.
I see. Well, all right, John. I'll see you about 11 in the morning. Good night.
Good night, Nick. Well, come on, Mac. You'll have to get off the bed now because I'm getting in it myself. Lizzie, that was the best breakfast I ever ate. And I mean it.
Yes, maybe you do. I know when I'm being made fun of.
Lizzie, I wonder if you could manage to get rid of that barrel of alcohol I saw in the cellar this morning. I can smell it all over the house.
You'd better speak to Paul, young man. I've been trying to get rid of that barrel all winter. It leaks.
Yes, it certainly does.
You'll have to get Paul to get rid of it. And he's real stubborn.
Hey, where is Paul now?
Plowing, of course. Where else this time of year?
Well, thanks, Lizzie. See if I can find him. Paul, could you come over here a minute, please?
Whoa there, whoa! What you want? I'm powerful busy, young man.
I want to see where Phil was killed.
Oh, right over there it was. We was after grouse. I climbed through the wire here, and he went over the fence there. Shoved his gun through ahead of him. Stock hit that rock, and bang, got him in the chest.
I see. Thanks.
You mind if I get back to my plowing? We're behind now.
No, not at all. You and Adam certainly keep this place in beautiful shape.
We aimed to. All run down when Adam and me was hired, but now everything's up to snuff. And no Aime's ever put his hand to it yet.
Oh, I think I'll roam around and see what there is to see. Haven't been here since I was a kid. Come on, Mac. Hey, Mac, look at the time. 11 o'clock. Must be Nick blowing for us. Come on. We'll go back through the cattle lane. Ought to be the quickest way to the house. Oh, gosh, this cattle lane's a beautiful job. Almost 200 yards straight from the barn out to the fields where the cows are put out to pasture. Fenced on both sides with 5 strands of barbed wire. Oh, each one of them as tight as a banjo string. That, Mac, is a model fence if I ever saw one. Yes, Mac, I see him. It's Nick, all right. Oh, he's got Patsy with him. Watch out! Watch out, Johnny! Under the fence, guy, quick! I'll have to go over the top if I can jump that high.
So, the series of accidents is continuing. John's first day on the farm, and already death runs to meet him. Can this murderous setup be solved in time to save John from being killed? We'll see in just a moment. When your youngsters track in mud, slush, or snow just after you've cleaned the floor, you know it's exasperating. But when your floors are protected by Linex clear gloss varnish, presto, those wintertime puddles are whisked away in a hurry. That's because Linex clear gloss keeps dirt and water right on the surface. Linex clear gloss gives a beautiful finish, too. Its gleaming, transparent luster gives that lovely, sparkling, clean look every homemaker delights in. And how Linex clear gloss wears. It even resists damage by hot grease, boiling water, fruit acids, perfume, and alcohol, which makes it especially fine for tabletops as well as for linoleum and wood floors. Best of all, Linex clear gloss is brushed on so easily, so smoothly, that it's practically no work at all. And once it's applied, your home has that handsome, well-kept appearance for a long, long time. Ask for it at your dealers now. Linex, Lin-X. Linex Clear Gloss Varnish. You'll find all 3 great Linex home brighteners and Chemtone, the miracle wall finish, at hardware, paint, and department stores everywhere. And now back to our story. As we left John, he was in a narrow lane, hemmed in on both sides with high barbed wire, trying to escape the mad rush of a bull charging down on him from the farm. It is now a few minutes later.
The bull get you, John? No, I'm all right. I never saw such a pretty view of balding as you did over the top of that fence.
I can't understand it. The bull couldn't break out of his pen. Somebody must have left the gate to the pen unlatched.
Well, it doesn't matter now. No damage was done.
I told you that bull to get away someday. Told you to padlock the pen. But no, you men knew it all.
What are you doing here, Lizzie? Get back to the house where you belong.
Come down here to tell the young man he's got company. That he's found out for himself.
Yes, I found him. Well, John, shall we go somewhere and talk?
We won't be disturbed there. Nobody will bother us here, Nick.
Good. Well, first, John, I got the permit to exhume your uncle's body. I brought the undertaker along to dig it up and take it back to town.
Good.
Second, I got hold of your Uncle Phil's shotgun, the one that killed him. I examined it pretty closely.
Find anything interesting?
I did. I found evidence that seems to bear out your feeling that his death may not have been the accident they claim it was.
Well, this house reeks of alcohol, doesn't it?
Yes, there's a barrel of the stuff in the cellar. For some reason, it smells up the whole place. Come in.
Young man, you leave this farm tonight. Otherwise, you're going to get yourself killed.
Killed? By whom?
Maybe I don't know, and maybe I do. I seen the hand and the arm that pushed the bolt on the bullpen gate open. That bolt was loose deliberate.
Well, if you know who did it, you ought to speak up to prevent further tragedy.
I only recognized the sleeve of the shirt. It was Toramites. But they could have got their shirts mixed up, so I ain't saying. Now you heed what I tell you, young man. Get out. And get quick.
Huh. Wish she could have been more positive in her identification.
I wonder how positive she really is.
Maybe she doesn't know herself.
Maybe. But I'm beginning to get an idea.
You mean you can see an end to this riddle?
No, but I think I begin to see where we're headed. And it's not pretty. Well, I've got work to do right now. I'll see you tonight, John. And in the meantime, be careful.
Hello? Nick Carter speaking.
Hello, Nick. I know I'm going to see you tonight, but since you've been gone, something's happened I think you ought to know.
What's that, John?
Both Adam and Paul have come to me secretly at different times, and each one has told me that he saw his brother unlatch the gate to the bull's pen.
You mean they each accuse the other?
Yes, Nick.
Well, very interesting. Oh, by the way, John, an autopsy on your Uncle Frank's body shows arsenical poison in fatal quantities. No question but what it was murder.
But who did it, Nick? Who did it?
I suppose you get all three of the first cells in the big house at 10 in the morning. I'll need until then to clean up the details. Tell them I found out something conclusive. But don't tell them what. May make one of them come through with a confession, maybe.
All right, Nick. 10 in the morning.
Right, John. And watch yourself tonight.
Operator. Emergency. I'm poisoned. Get me a doctor quick. And then get Nick Carter at the hotel. You got that? Get a doctor. And then call Nick Carter. Seems as if you and Nick got here awful fast, Betsy.
When Nick's in a hurry, he doesn't waste any time getting places.
You know what you were poisoned with, John?
Yes, it was aconite, all right. I know that. I can't figure out how I got it.
Your pulse is very low. We've got to make it pick up.
Do you know how?
Of course she does. Patsy's practically a full-fledged nurse.
Well, it's lucky. There's nobody here on the farm I can trust.
Here, drink this, John. It'll stimulate your heart. And you better walk up and down.
I just heard on the extension phone that John was poisoned. Is that true?
It's true, all right.
You only know what you heard on the phone?
Why, sure. What else? How is he?
We don't know yet.
Oh, I'd rather taken the poison in my own stomach than he should get it. I never dreamed of any killing or knowed any was being done.
Nick, will you get me...
Adam, come quick. It's Paul.
What?
He's took poison, too. He's hardly breathing. Adam.
Paul, too? Paul poisoned?
Adam, Paul's dying.
If you could let me have some of that stuff you're using for John, ma'am, I'll go tend to Paul.
Why, of course. Here you are.
Adam. Adam.
Come in, Lizzie. Come in.
Paul must have poisoned you and himself, John. That's the only answer. And that means Paul did all those other things, too.
But I took nothing since dinner. That was much too long ago to have waited all this time to take effect. It isn't possible. I've eaten nothing and drunk nothing since 7 o'clock. It's 2:40 in the morning now.
Then what in the world could...
If that's the doctor, Patsy, rush him to Paul.
Okay.
Paul must talk before he dies. He's got to clear this thing up.
John, did you say you'd had nothing to eat or drink for the last 7 or 8 hours?
That's right, Nick. The same as Aunt Mary's case, exactly. She was poisoned without knowing how it was done. So was I. The answer to one is the answer to both. And Paul's killing himself looks as if he were that answer. Although I can't figure out how he could have done it.
John, I'd like to have a look at your room. Feeling strong enough?
Yeah, sure, Nick. Let's do it now. Nick, do you think that... Hey, Mac, get off that bed. Hey, Mac, come on. Mac! That's funny. Usually... Nick! He's dead.
Don't touch him.
Why not?
Look, John. His head's on the pillow in the same place yours would be if you were in bed.
Yes, Nick, but so what?
You slept on that pillow and almost died. Mac sleeps there and does die. Doesn't that mean anything to you?
No, I'm afraid not. What should it mean?
Aconite was poured on the pillowcase before you went to bed.
What?
Remember, aconite is so powerful it can be absorbed through the skin, particularly the thin, damp mucous membrane of the lips.
That's right, Nick. A person sleeping on that pillow with aconite spilled on it had poisoned himself in a couple of hours.
Because you were restless, you got up before the dose was fatal. But Mac, with his very bad habit of sleeping on your pillow and sleeping very soundly, slept there once too often.
But, Nick, why didn't I smell it?
What does aconite smell like?
Well, alcohol.
Right.
Oh, of course, the house reeks of alcohol. Naturally, I'd never smell it.
That alcohol smell is part of the plot, John.
But who, Nick? Who?
Let's get everybody together and talk it over. Maybe that way we'll get along faster. So up to now, we've got this much settled. I found that the safety catch on the shotgun that killed Phil 2 years ago had been tampered with, so it is no good. Lizzie swears she saw Paul fooling around the gun just before the accident. An autopsy proved that Frank was killed by a mixture of arsenic and boron, which Lizzie and Adam both say Paul was trying out as a new spray for bean beetles. The bull was let out of his pen on purpose, unquestionably to kill John Ames. Lizzie says she recognized the torn sleeve of Paul's shirt on the arm she saw slip the latch. Adam agrees with her. Unfortunately, Paul died without saying anything, so we don't know his side of the story. But we do know he told John that Adam did it.
I don't need to hear no more, Mr. Carter. I'm packing up and getting out of here now, tonight.
I'll help you pack, Adam. I know where your things are. I ain't leaving you.
You ain't a Purcell, Lizzie. It ain't fair to ask you to share my troubles.
But I want to, Adam. I've always looked after you. You think I'm going to stop now?
Lizzie, you're real kind, but I can't allow it. I can take care of myself.
Adam, if I were you, I wouldn't refuse Lizzie like that.
Huh?
She's in love with you.
She ain't neither. Lizzie's an old maid.
That's where you're wrong. And that's where everybody went wrong. Lizzie is in love with you. That's how all this came to happen.
Oh, Nick, you aren't making any sense now.
Yes, I am, Patsy. Lizzie hated Paul for not marrying her that time they were engaged. Now she's grown to love Adam, and she wanted him to have the farm because she thought that was what he wanted more than anything else in the world. So she tried to kill off the heirs, one after another, and throw the blame on Paul.
But the safety catch on Phil's gun. The poison that killed Frank.
Oh, John, any farm woman knows enough to do those things, and she killed your Aunt Mary the same way she tried to kill you. No trace of aconite was found on your aunt's pillow because Lizzie changed the pillowcase before calling for help. She'd have changed yours, too, if things had gone right, but she didn't have time. And every once in a while, she spilled a little alcohol out of the barrel in the cellar to keep the house smelling of it.
But that's not proof, Nick.
No, it isn't. But I'm willing to bet that if you look, you'll find she just changed Paul's pillowcase. And I don't doubt you'll find that pillowcase still smelling of aconite somewhere in the house where the Purcells live. And that will be proof.
You don't need to look. Of course I done it. All of it. Just like you say. It was easy. You're all so dumb. Just like old men. Never thought a woman could do anything for you but cook and sew.
Letting the bull out of his pen. You couldn't have done that.
Oh, couldn't I? Look at my hands. They look just like a man's. I put one of Paul's shirts under my skirt when I went out to the barn and slipped it over my arm when I opened the bolt. Nobody knowed it was me. Even them as saw me do it didn't know.
How did you know, Nick?
It had to be that way. There was no other answer that would fit all the facts as I gathered them in. The exact method used and the motive behind it were the things I had to find out before I could act. Lizzie almost beat me to it this last time. I didn't think she was ready to act so quickly.
Gosh, Nick. I hate to think of having to turn her over to the police. Since I've been here, I've grown fond of Lizzie.
You won't have to feel sorry for me, young man. I do things instead of talking about them. When you was John, I took the rest of the aconite in the bottle. Now just leave me be. I'll die without no help from any of you.
In just a moment, Nick and Patsy will bring you a preview of next week's exciting case. But first, a word to the ladies. Homemaking is an art that brings genuine happiness to everyone who lives in a well-kept home, everyone who visits it. It's a real achievement to keep your home attractive. So it's worthwhile to know how much help the three great Lin-X home brighteners can give you. Lin-X cream polish, for instance, restores the original shining beauty of your fine furniture, disposes of blurry fingerprints almost by magic, gets rid of that cloudy film left by dust and old polish. Lin-X cream polish helps hide ugly scratches, too. Yet it takes only one quick application, because Lin-X cream polish actually cleans your furniture as it polishes, leaving it spick and span, bringing out the true beauty of the wood. What's more, Lin-X cream polish dries to a hard surface without oiliness to attract more dust. Ask your dealer for the modern furniture polish which cleans as it polishes, saving one whole step in your cleaning routine. Ask him for Lin-X cream polish for fine furniture. You'll find all three great Lin-X home brighteners, Lin-X self-polishing wax, Lin-X clear gloss varnish, and Lin-X cream polish at your nearest hardware, paint, or department store. And now let's hear from Nick Carter himself. Well, Nick, what new and exciting adventure do you plan to tell us about next week?
A scientist and inventor whose home was on the coast was found in his laboratory one morning with a bullet hole through his forehead.
Much to my regret, because we were supposed to be vacationing up there, not capturing murderers.
Well, I suppose murderers have to be captured no matter what happens.
Yes, Ken. And this time I was intrigued by the killing, because the only clue that had any value was a piece of rope. A kind of rope that none of us had ever seen before.
And there was a thunder shower at midnight, too, which helped to put the finger on the killer.
Sounds interesting. Yes, I'll listen. What's the title of your story?
I call it Crime at Cold Harbor.
Or The Mystery of the Murdered Scientist.
And that's all for now. Details next week. So long.
So long, everybody.
And so long to both of you. We'll be expecting to hear from you again next week as usual. Next week at this same time, listen to another curious experience of Nick Carter, Master Detective, entitled
Crime at Cold Harbor, or Nick Carter and the Mystery of the Murdered Scientist.
Nick Carter, Master Detective, is featured in Street and Smith magazines. Lon Clark is starred as Nick with Helen Choate as Patsy. Original music is played by Lou White, and the programs are written and directed by Jock McGregor. Nick Carter, Master Detective, is presented at this time and over these same stations each week by the three great Lin-X home brighteners. Lin-X clear gloss varnish, Lin-X cream polish, and Lin-X self-polishing wax, created by Acme, America's great producer of Acme fine quality paints. This is Ken Powell speaking for the thousands of Lin-X dealers all over America and saying so long until next week. This is Mutual.
What's the matter? What is it?
Another case for Nick Carter, Master Detective.
Would you like a shout out? Leave a comment in the section below. Tell me who you want to shout out to, who you want to shout out from, and we'll get it up here for you. Hey, we want to say thanks for tuning in. Please like and subscribe so you don't miss any. Got a lot more of these up there. Go check them out under the playlist. Leave us a comment. Tell us what you want to see, what you think, and we'll see you next time.